I got that CMOS, baby, call me a CMOS, baby. Do that body good like CMOS, baby. I'm a leader, I'ma take you to the treetop, baby. I care about your health, did you hydrate lately? I got that CMOS, baby, call me a CMOS, baby. Do that body good like CMOS, baby. I'm a leader, I'ma take you to the treetop, baby. I care about your health, did you hydrate lately?
All right, because you know this is the Verbal Apothecary, and we bringing you the herbals and the verbals. I've been chopping it up with my brother Spirit of Nation, and we've been talking about just the community of the great ones that we know and the culture. And my question is like, you know, what's the trajectory? We got an
inside joke. That's an inside joke.
Because you got, you know, we've all been questioned by our elders, like, you know, where do you see this going? What's the trajectory of your actions? And as that could be very irritating for a young, full of fire person, you know, because you got your own direction and you know, but sometimes you do have to qualify yourself. You know what I'm saying? And hip hop just reached its 50th anniversary not too long ago. And my question is, has hip hop qualified itself? Has it reassessed itself? Like, where are we going? You know, so that's the essential question.
I feel like I've been kind of vibing on this lately, and I think, you know, I don't know where this is gonna go, but we're just gonna put it out there, play the metaphor out. You know how we be talking. I was vibing with the Queen. I was like, man, I feel like on a certain level, hip hop was raised in a split household. And sometimes the partners didn't always see eye to eye. And I think the impact of the child is kind of what we see in hip hop. Like, I think there were and was at one point, you know, value systems, you know, standards, things of that nature, you know, but you know, power corrupts, money corrupts, you know, we gotta eat, we gotta, you know what I mean? So I think at the level that it's scaled, folks wasn't prepared to fortify the value system of how this is gonna sustain and be a tool for transformation. It could be a tool for health and wellness. Like, you know, we're talking about the Verbal Apothecary, so I see where you're going with this. As you're asking, like, the future. I do feel the future, the immediate future, I feel is like some real conversations. You know what I'm saying, around the institutional impact. You know, how do we want to collectively move forward? You know what I mean? I love what D1 is bringing up and the climate. And but I'm at a point now, and I'm wise enough to know that nothing's absolute. We could draw that line, but regardless of religion or belief, we all got shadow we're dealing with, and we all got things we got to work on. You know what I mean? So we have to be very careful when we're calling out individuals, because it could become a witch hunt. You know what I mean? As opposed to how do we transform trauma? You know what I mean? And you know, that's a lot of the work we've been doing, you know, in the community for years. Like, you know what I mean? The quote unquote folks and people that folks threw away, you know, that gave up on, you know what I mean? Those are the folks we was building with and seeing beautiful, you know, transformations and beautiful, I don't know, relationships grow from just seeing you. Like, I see you, you know what I mean? Like, I see your rhymes, and like we used to say back at camp, and like, you know, different things. Like, we see this part, we see the vomit in your behaviors. You know what I mean? And we know that there's some sickness there that needs to be addressed. And I think that's kind of what's happening. We see that there's definitely some illness and there's some things that could be healed within hip hop. You know, my opinion.
Do you feel like with the influence of what corrupts, you know, you said money, power, influence, you know, or clout, as they say, which is a form of power, right? Not real power all the time, but perceived. And with that being said, could health and wellness of the culture persevere with these common pressures that we face, that we've seen hip hop be seduced by?
Yeah, it's funny. It's even going back to, like, it's funny hearing that back. Power corrupts. You know, power also creates. You know what I'm saying? Money
Okay.
also creates and aids people. So I
Yeah.
kind of want to get both sides of the coin.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
It's like we ain't gonna get pigeonholed today. We just gonna talk about the human experience and humanity because all these things play a part. Once you get too stuck in any position, sometimes you got to dig yourself out of that position, and instead of just taking it for what it is, like, yo, you know, yeah, we have to really see what's happening. Like, see you on, okay, let's build, let's talk. Like this platform that we have, this social media platform, like, yeah, it's easy to get online, but when I'm right next to you and we building,
right.
When I'm in the presence of my relatives, when I'm in the presence of my brother, my sister, it feels different.
Yeah.
Like it's a vibration at that point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think sometimes the intellectual jousting or just kind of the going back and forth online just for the sake of going back and forth is cool, but how productive is it?
Is there a remedy that hip hop could turn its way to begin to detox from these, pressures from, the money, the influence, the power?
I think it's for one, it's bigger than hip hop. No, big ups to Dead Prez, but in that regard, that's a societal question. That's hip hop is a you know what I mean, is a byproduct of what's happening on society. Like when you look at hip hop, it's like, well, damn, what's going on in the States? You know what I'm saying? What's really going on in the world? You know what I mean? If this is kind of like you say, the question still hasn't been answered yet. That nigga and bitch could be just freely move through the frequencies of music unedited, but other cultural names, and you know what I'm saying, and we're not gonna get too deep into that. We know what it is. We haven't got clear on why that's acceptable. We haven't had that conversation, and that's what I'm saying. I think until we're really able to just have those conversations out in the open and get some honesty, not much is gonna change. And that's what I mean by power corrupts. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool with just keeping my peace. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of it's what's been happening. It's nothing new. I think as humans, sometimes we get like, what you gonna do when you get your 3 million? When you get your 4 million? Like it's easy to say what the person that's holding the 3 million is doing and not doing, but when you get your 3 million,
right,
and no one knows what you're trying to secure, or it may be 3 million just to set off what you're trying to do to help 3 million people. But I'm looking at you like you got 3 million. How come you ain't breaking me off?
Yeah, an entitlement.
That entitlement, or you know what I'm saying? Projection of what may not be true, based on your own narrative instead of the narrative that individual has. So, I think it's like you say, we have to be open, man. We have to, really be mindful of what we want to see. And I think one solution that I always lift up, and I was talking to Mizan about this the other day, is like, just because we kind of do this work don't mean we don't do this work. And I think that's the piece right there. It's like, it's easy. Like I tell you all the time, you remember from back in the day when I knew you was 16, you know what I'm saying? The little, eyes bright, you know what I'm saying? The young guy.
Ready for the world.
You know what I'm saying? Sophomore, I believe. At that particular time. But it was like, it was easy to show up as Brother Sway. You know what I'm saying? But to be Brother Sway 24/7 is exhausting. And now sometimes, as folks, doing liberation work, that's sometimes what our families miss out on. The community gets the best of us, right? They get the most of us, and that's easy. Like I say, it's easy for me. I'm Brother Sway. I got I know about Kemet. I dropped this gem about the fruits and veggies. But to go home and really, show intimacy with my queen, show intimacy with my children, be present for my children, like you say, instead of check out and give them the iPad and this and that. Like, remember I told you, I was like, I remember the first day Sugar entered my household.
Come on,
third party.
If y'all could hear how he said it, it was like he said it like it was like a violin playing, and he had to get something off his chest. It was like, man, I remember the first day sugar entered into my household.
Yeah, it was real, bro. I was because it was something.
But let me just let you know, like, let me let the audience know, like, I understand that to you. You may not understand the depth at which this brother takes health seriously. You know what I'm saying, and the health of his children. And sugar is something that is almost ubiquitous. What I mean is, it's just everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. So
It's
the
everywhere.
very thought of you having a mindset of, hold up, like, I remember the date my child had sugar. Like maybe parents take that tone or that focus on the children in general. But I will also say that is not a common reference I have heard from any one of my peers or elders, anybody. Like,
I know it sounds crazy.
It's a beautiful thing, but it's something that I
thanks.
want people to just assess. Like, sugar is something that I would relate it to the money, to the power, the influence. It's something that feels so good in the moment.
It's something that's hard to escape. Sugar, starch, the sophistication of the iPad. These are things that I battle in my house. I've allowed these things in, thinking I could hold them at bay. No, these things are sophisticated, and I could just be like, yeah, this is happening. But you got to understand, as they say, the preacher's child. Why sometimes would it just be so restrictive is how come your restrictive ways, your youth and your legacy don't follow in. You see what I'm saying? There has to be something to that. That there's something that we missed out on there. You know, I want my legacy to uphold the value system that we instilled in them. You know, openly and willingly. It doesn't have to be force fed, because anything force fed, you probably will reject and vomit. You know what I'm saying? You're probably not gonna be able to hold it, not in a way that's sustainable. So, you know, like you say, we've experimented, and like I remember the day I was like, okay, I'm gonna let my children eat meat, because I know if they don't eat meat, they probably gonna be like, Dad, fuck you, Dad. Fuck you, Dad.
With a triple patty burger.
I'm going all the way in. I'm going all the way in on this now.
In and out. I'll be there tomorrow.
And I feel like because I did that, now you could look at, you know, Fire out there with his, you know, wellness brand, you know, pushing what he, you know, trying to be right, eat healthy. That's, I'm not telling him, he be putting me up on game now, you know. I still have, you know, other children in my family though, and they all have their own trajectory. So it's still something that I have to be mindful of, you know, still model, still, you know, be consistent with. You know what I mean? Be consistent with, because it's not. It's where I'm at now. It's like, it's not what am I going to take away from you, and this is what we talked about in the car. It's what am I going to add? What are you going to add? Okay, you want to eat this, then you got to add a lot more of this. You want to drink this, then you got to drink a lot more of this. You want to watch this, then you're going to have to do or read a lot more of this. See, that's the part, and that do or read or this and that requires a little more on our part, especially if you let whatever is happening go on for too long. You know, you know, your child ain't ate a vegetable in 16 years. It might take 16 years to really click. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to, okay, there were some vegetables in the beginning. You see what I'm saying? But like my brethren said, I've been thinking about prophet a lot, just the privilege of knowing how to eat. The privilege of you know what I mean? The privilege of just being aware that there's a systematic
like growing up with a teacher for a parent, you know, I mean, which you are educated.
I feel you.
But like most people who have that experience are usually more advanced in some regard. Like I know a couple brothers and sisters who have teachers in their parent lineage, and they communicate well, you know, are probably more scholastic, but still culturally they be tapped in too. Like they balance social life. not all the time, but
Mhm.
I've seen that. And because the parents know, like, I'm giving them game at a baby,
Yeah.
I'm putting them on how to read, and so you kind of did that. I seen you, you know, you was putting them on the health and wellness early, and they saw you. They saw people learn from you. They saw you learn from other people, and
I'm glad you
all of
lifted
that.
that up, because I
Yeah.
gotta lift up the village for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, in the community,
Yeah.
and by no means are we perfect, and
Mhm.
by no means has everything been, you know, effortless and easeful. Like even, you know, relationships. You know what I mean. But I think hearing the same message and seeing the same thing from different models
Mhm.
validates kind of what you're doing as a parent. And I think that was the importance of the village back in the day.
Mm.
Like, and even if you're looking at quote unquote folks that are immigrating, you know what I'm saying, into the country, you know what I'm saying, there's a certain collective I am because we are Ubuntu spirit, and like cash, you know, there's an energy of, yeah, we in this together. We know what it's like to kind of
Mhm.
make this happen. Like, there's this privilege in the States where it's like, yeah, we know struggle, but still, like, I'm an individual. They gotta go get this on my own. Like, I don't trust you, or I ain't got time to rock with you because you ain't rock. You see, there's a that's a poison right there.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's been a blockage. And there are folks that can link up, click up, and make things happen.
Mhm.
And there it is happening. You know, and to all those people out there doing it, big ups. And you also know it's like, damn, there's some folks that I just can't rock with, even though I wanted to. I had to make some pivots and some shifts in my life to really get to, you know, the next stage and the next place that I wanted to go. So,
Man, you always have a way of putting your philosophy in your music.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? Which I've always appreciated. And that some of my favorite artists are able to do that. So I would like for you to pull on your philosophy a little bit and speak on the trajectory of hip hop and health and wellness. What is, and when I say trajectory, I mean, what is your vision idealistically?
mm-hmm,
Reality is one thing, but where do you see
mm-hmm,
the two for our people moving?
mm-hmm.
You feel me?
I would like, and this is a vision that I'm actually kind of developing. I'm actually meeting with a couple people. I don't want to put it out the bag too early,
Mm-hmm.
and someone might already be doing it, so it might not even be something that. That's the thing about the world, right? The idea is out there, so now the frequency.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's probably a lot of people vibing on this, but I would like to see some type of um, same way we held space and did retreats for the youth and our peers, and you know what I'm saying. I like to do that for hip hop artists.
Mm-hmm.
I like to give them a chance to be human
Mm-hmm.
and not be a performer or entertainer,
Mm-hmm.
and really deal and unpack with like any. You know, it's coming out. This whole mental health, this thing, this that, but I don't want it to be a performative thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know how we get down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And my proximity to hip hop and my proximity to this work that we've been cultivating for years, and now that we got the land up in Shasta, you know what I'm saying, to take folks out of the element and to really go deep into the three I's. You know, the internal, interpersonal, institutional. Like, what do I mean by that? Like the internal, the self, dealing with self. You know what I'm saying? Let me really work on self. You know what I mean? When do I get the opportunity to ask questions like, who am I for real? Like, what am I doing? What are my values? What have I valued? You know, what type of person do I want to be? What type of human being am I walking in that direction? You know, so oftentimes when we're on survival mode, we don't have the luxury of even thinking about these things. We just really have to get up and make it happen for our babies, for ourselves, for our bag, whatever it is, just whatever we're surviving for. But once you get yourself, you know, somewhat in tune, then you get a little clearer on the relationships that you want to attract. So, you know, I keep attracting toxic relationships, and you probably need to go back to square one and maybe deal with self a little more to find out, okay, why is it? What am I opening myself to, or what am I attracted to in that toxicity? There has to be a level of accountability. It can't always be an external thing. So, like I say, when you know you take what you want and the highest values of what you want in your life into your relationship. You know, now within those relationships, now you get to work, you get tested. Right? You value truth? Okay, there's gonna be some truthful moments. Me and you've had some truthful conversations. You know, we value honesty, we value, hard work and dedication. You know what I'm saying? We you know, in our heyday, holding a push-up position for 30 minutes as we're busting rhymes to the set. That's kind of why when we on stage, the shit just looks like, God damn, it's like a well-oiled machine. That's because we put in like 10,000 hours for real on the set.
Facts.
Like for real. Like we would like 3-hour rehearsals.
Bruh. I remember,
You know, strengthening the relationship. I remember, yo, swear, I don't like the way you talking to me, or just kind of whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It's we've been there. Or even you know, dealing with my queen, dealing with my children. You know, what type of relationships? Because you know, we're moving on to institution. You know, that's the first institution. What we were building was an institution. Our set was, you know, becoming institutionalized. You know, so as we're thinking about like, you know, the systems, the police systems, the school systems, like all of these injustices and things that we're fighting on an institutional level. Okay, we destroy them, right? Fuck it, we tore Babylon down, but shit, we didn't tear down the evils on the other two levels. So now Babylon's rebuilt, and we don't know why. But it's really simple. You know what I'm saying? We recreated the vision that they gave us instead of understanding the vision that we want to create. And that's, like I say, it goes back to what world do I want? Now, how do I link up with the people to help me create this world? Now, how do we institutionalize this world? So, not this world, excuse me, this thing here, this consciousness, this, you know what I mean? And I'm just using institution as a placeholder, as a word,
of course,
just to say, how do I fortify it in a way where it lasts for a very, very long time?
Fortify it so it lasts a long time.
You see what I'm saying? Whether that be my family, whether that be my relationship with my business partners, whether it be the relationship with the queen that I'm trying to build with, or individual person, you know, my relationship with the schools. And that's kind of why, you know, we moved to start doing more work on a policy level. You know, we went through those stages. We started, you know, remember it was youth. We were working with the youth heavy for a very long time.
You didn't touch every phase of the growth process. You was working with young kids. You didn't touch
you know, started tapping in with the families. It was like, okay, well, the youth got to go back to their families. So maybe if we work the families, you see what I'm saying? All right, we're working with the families. Families need resources. You know what I'm saying? These institutions got to understand something got to shift up here. So, like you say, so it was like working in all these levels. That's why it's funny, I'm actually thankful that, you know, Brother Fab, Mr. Fab is doing his thug therapy. I think he's with Brother Craig, I believe. And it's just good to see. I don't know, you know, I
think they're doing their own movements, but I think they also collaborate.
Got you. Okay. It's good to see.
Bruh.
You know what I mean? It's good to see. And the reason why I say it's good to see, because Fab has leverage that many of us doing the work don't. You can access doors and access spaces that, you know, a brother like me been doing the work for 20 years, 20 plus years. You know, I don't have to pull out my receipts. You know who I am when I show up. And it's just, talk that shit, Sway. I know y'all be loving what I be like talk, but I don't want to talk that shit because it's irrelevant to me. What is relevant to me is, let's do the work, y'all, and let's continue to press forward and do what's right. And if we're in a position, like you say, Fab is in essence using his institutional power now, along with his interpersonal, you know, relationships. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the work that he was doing internally to get to this point where he's like, yo, I want to do this. But I'm sure he touched base on all those levels. And like you say, the people that you could bring to the table can really, you know, get this thing moving and shaking. And that's what, like I said, I would like to see something like the thug therapy on implemented into hip hop. Like, let's really like folks, you know, I don't want to put my brethren on blast, but folks want to really unpack what's going on and with Chris, the teacher, and this whole molestation piece with Bam. Like, I still feel like that ain't really been healed up, and it ain't like Chris's responsibility. But I think the way Chris responded threw a lot of us off
because we expect him to
hold Bam accountable
I was
on a
about to say
certain
to
level.
demonize a demon. You know what I'm saying? Like you speak truth to power so much when you see these ops enter our community and they look like us, or maybe you even have a connection to them. We want those who have had a persistent path of holding up truth to hold these people accountable. But it's difficult.
It's difficult,
obviously,
and
right?
it's difficult. And can we do some? Not even so much do some work, because there are folks doing some work, but really, I don't know, man.
Right, like
create spaces for folks to really have the conversations and understand, instead of just, because I'm telling you, the polarization is just gonna kill us. So like everyone, like, well, fuck him, fuck them. When really, if we peel back the layers enough, there's more commonality than not, because we all human.
And I think it's a reflection of what's really going on in our community. So unfortunately, you know, that's what we need to deal with, not to demonize or not to dehumanize or minimalize the victims of that brother. But I would say that they're further from us than our nephews, our nieces, our daughters, our sons. And as much as we may have an opinion about that, and we should have this conversation, but I think this conversation should open the door to less about let's try to judge, or let's not litigate that case as much, right? Say what we need to say, but then reflect that light back to those.
What's my responsibility?
What's my responsibility?
Once again, the 3 eyes.
Yeah.
You know, okay, you have this feeling. Now, what you gonna do with that feeling? You just gonna be mad and just pointing fingers? You go on the Twitter rant, or are you gonna go address your uncle? Are you gonna go address auntie? Are you, like you say, that's where, like, remember I told you it was easy to show up as brothers to sway and work with the young brothers. That work is harder to show up in your family and address things, especially given your ageism, proximity to where you at, no matter what your knowledge base is. And that's kind of why sometimes it's like you can make attempts, but then, holding yourself accountable holds everyone else accountable sometimes. Better than you solely trying to hold someone accountable. And I'm going to say that again. Holding yourself accountable often works better, because it's like, it's a vibration thing. It's like, you know what can I really say?
That's deep, brother.
What can I really say? Because me trying to hold you accountable all the time, but in my hands is just as dirty, or I'm just as raggedy.
It looks silly.
It just looks silly.
Yeah.
Or I got my shit together and now I'm trying to hold you accountable. Now you're kind of holier than now, because you're not giving folks grace to get to where you might be, to go through what you might have been through. And yes, sometimes accountability. My teachers told me all the time, sometimes folks just need an ass whooping. Like, straight up.
Like that?
No, my teacher told me everybody needs an ass whooping once in their life. And, it's just like, crazy martial arts instructor, militant, you know what I'm saying, root to cow. Yeah, we in this. And I understood what he was saying, because it's a certain level of humility. He was saying even himself. You know what I'm saying? Even himself, there's a certain level of humility. There's a like, damn, okay. And there's a sharpening too. And that ass whooping can come physically, emotionally. You know what I'm saying? Not that I'm not promoting domestic violence and abuse in any way, but what I'm saying is the universe has to challenge you sometimes in a way that makes you wake up.
Thanks.
Let me just say this. I remember the first time that man slammed me to the ground. It woke something up in me. Like the warrior woke up. Like the first time, it was like a hip throw or something. We was out. It was just me and him. It was early one morning. It was just getting early in the training, and it was a hip throw. And my brethren, you know what I'm saying? And afterwards, like, you know, checked on me, made sure it was, you know, knocked the wind out of me, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it woke something up.
Mm.
And it was on ever since. It was like, man, I get it.
Mm.
You don't know your limits until you get there
Mm-hmm.
and have to go past them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what you're capable of until you put in a situation where all you have to do is be capable.
That's deep.
All you have is to be capable.
Yeah.
We at a point now where shit, all we have is some lifestyle changes need to be made, or that's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna say whether what's happening in hip hop is good or bad. It's just, is it sustainable, y'all?
Mm.
That's it. How many more years can we last at this rate? If we're
Okay.
looking at just kind of what
Okay.
mainstream is putting out and the deaths and our young sisters, you know what I'm saying? Just if we're just talking about just content, and give thanks for the. Well, what about J. Cole? Give thanks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Give thanks, Cole. Dope
Mm-hmm.
MC.
Mm-hmm.
I hope Prophet is listening right now. You know what I'm saying? J. Cole's a dope MC.
Right, right.
But he can't hold the whole community on his shoulders with 16 bars.
Right. He could barely hold the whole state of Carolina, North Carolina.
You know,
where he from?
Kendrick and Drake, we get it. Jay-Z,
Yeah.
Biggie, and Nas, we get it. With the iterations, I get that part. These are dope, talented brothers. You know what I mean? And like you say, there's it's just bigger than hip hop at this point. It's bigger than how, at least for me. That's why I had to drop the Off the Grid project. And I know we ain't here to talk about that, but
we are too.
You know what I'm saying?
Go
it's
listen
like,
to that Off the Grid by my brother Spirit of Nation.
You know, I was talking to Stoddle when we was building the project, and I was like, bro, this project don't got too much bar work, but it's like some of the most potent shit that are written.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not gonna get those lyrical miracle moments. You might get one track where it's like, damn, Sway just kind of like, bro, you see what? But like the whole project is gonna be like, and that's kind of who I always admire rappers like Guru, Tupac, Biggie. I see why these were the greats. You know, even Snoop. There's a way that you could put something so simplistic yet so complicated, but yet so heartfelt, all into one package, and those make some of the greatest MCs. You could rap fast, you could do this, you could do that, but some of the dopest songs are gonna come from those. It's just something. There's a way that the spirit translates through the mic to just everything, the moment. You know, because like you say, some of the dopest rappers that I'm quote unquote supposed to like, they don't necessarily make my top 5 just because you're the most technically sound. Like, yeah, in the cypher, you rapping circles around. Ooh, yeah, that's probably the only place I could hear you though. After about 3 verses, I'm gonna need something a little more. Where's that Soul Food album, Goody Mob? I went back to that, like, God damn, these brothers was ahead of their time. We still fighting for our spirit and mind. Go back and listen to Fighting. They got us fighting for our spirit and our mind. Like, that line resonates with me way louder than it did back in '96.
Yeah, they was putting people on to a lot of the, you know, what was later called conspiracy theories and stuff in hip hop. They was putting a lot of they peers on to that stuff and stuff. You know, I believe that's how Busta started doing the When Disaster Strikes and stuff. But yeah, man, that's dope though.
But then it's funny, there was also a resonance in the air. At the time, if you think about it, like, knowledge itself was popular.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Knowledge itself was popular. It was a thing to do. You know, I think it was. Yeah, we're not gonna unpack that can of worms right now. But I just think there's different things that are preceding that popularity right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Pan-Africanism is a pocket now, as opposed when it was a point in hip hop where it was a little more expansive. But see, what happened is, okay, once again, you're a conscious brother. I mean, I'm gonna put it in a nutshell. Temple Pimp. Temple Pimp Now they fucked up the whole. You can't even say Hotep no more. Hotep used to
Temple Pimp is
you know
way more accurate.
You know what I'm saying? Hotep used to be like I was. You know, he's a Hotep brother. It's like I never looked at it as a diss. And then when I realized it was a diss, I'm like, oh, I understand. It was the Temple Pimps. It was the brothers and the niggas out here. You know what I'm saying?
I hear back in the day they used to say Nubian, and that was disrespectful. In
Well,
Oakland, they used to be like, "Oh, you like the
oh,
Nubian
got
type
you.
rapper."
Yeah.
Like,
you one of these fake ass conscious niggas.
Yeah, it's like
That's basically
damn,
what they
you
said.
gonna take the knowledge and then turn it into some derogatory. When really it's like you rejecting the medicine because it tastes bitter.
But I think that's the thing. Knowledge and wisdom, creates the overstanding. Like you could know something, but you got to have the wisdom, the practice, the knowledge, the years, and the 10,000 hours to really overstand. You know what I mean? To really understand. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah.
To integrate it into how you move and how you speak, and
to where it becomes
second nature.
just second nature. It's funny. It's kind of a yeah. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Like even though it's so binary, brother and sister. I call everyone brother and sister. Like I remember my cousin used to be, they white. They ain't my brother. They my sister. It's just so ingrained in me that you are a part of my other me. There ain't no separation. You know what I'm saying?
You gonna catch some flack for that.
It just be coming out. It just be coming out, bro. It's like we can't be that we can't be that smart and that ignorant at the same time.
I think you're willing to go into a place of empathy that generally people are not willing to go as a culture, right? And so as Black conscious as you are, and that's a filler term, right? Because as we transcend, I feel like we learn in the nuances of even that as we question our where we from. Are we from America? Are we from Africa? You know what I'm saying? And both have truth in them. And once you choose a side, now you're going against the other. But my point is, you're trying to show the nuance in what's happening, and that's where people get lost. They start set tripping.
And I think we're tribal by nature, but we all live in this human experience. You know what I mean? That's one thing I will say. It's real. Because honestly, some of the most African-centered, Pan-African brothers that we know, they wives ain't Black, bro. And it's not even, I'm not even dissing them. And we love these brothers.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
We love these sisters, but they show, to me, that I don't know how that can exist in the same timeline. And it's not a diss, right? And that's kind of why I said, let's cut all this other shit. Let's get to humanity. You with that person because you love that person. And there was a connection that y'all had and y'all able to vibrate together. Right? So let's get to some truth and stop putting this out there. Because I remember the day I cut my locks, all the brethren with the Haile Selassie pins and this and that, I didn't get held up no more. Even though I'm walking through the crowd with a Black family, you see a Black family, Black children. If I had even just my locks at that time, right? I know the bread, lion palm this and brethren. What do you mean? You know what I'm saying? What is the Black family no less important? You know what I'm saying? Than the root to cow brethren with locks? Are you just looking at the image? And that's kind of why I bring that up. You see what I'm saying? That's why I bring that up. You could be the most frankincense jewelry, crystal wearing individual, and you have work to do, fam. It doesn't negate the work. And I'm not saying that you're saying that you're not negating your work. I'm just saying, don't come to me on that,
right?
Because it's so nuanced. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how many plant medicine sessions you've had. Have you applied the download yet? Just saying. All of it applies. All of it's the same everywhere. It's the same everywhere. You see what I'm saying? So let's just get to what's real. Let's just get to what's real. Like I don't, Yeah, bro. Nah, because the more I just start thinking about it, it's just kind of like, yo, like with this Cat Williams shit, Kanye shit coming out, like all of this quote unquote knowledge and information we're getting now. It's like we should know better now.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's
But
just,
we big distracted too, and I think that's
yeah.
the point of where we are is that we have access to all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So now that this has come out,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna get played up to the max, so people get tired of it and easily back into. Because in reality, what does it change for us? Really, it adds a little more nuance for those who didn't know to what's happening. People already have the conspiracy theories of what happens behind closed doors in these higher ups. But what does it do for you other than add more drama? You know, I like Cat Williams. That brother's funny, and so I care like as a fan, like, oh wow, he's doing something different for not different, but he's doing something that's causing waves and it's interesting in that way. But I would also say, as a person who has real life going on and real dreams I'm chasing and real change I want to make in my community, I didn't hear him expose any pharmaceutical industries. I didn't hear him expose any I mean, at least Dr. Umar exposing some of the school system and how they putting our boys into the you know, the special needs class. So like we have to put things in perspective because what he's saying, although applies and it is truthful, like you said, you got to do the work still. And I'm not gonna talk about Cat Williams for too long, and I'm trying to do the work. You know what I'm saying?
I can't get too focused on that.
But what he represents though is the veil falling. Yeah. I feel like for that to happen at the top of the year, I feel like we should be even more locked in. I
might need to go back in and watch a little more because some of the veil stuff wasn't too. I'm like, yeah,
you're tapped in already. Sway.
Maybe that's what it is. Tapped in maybe that's what it is. So I got you. I got you.
Yeah, and then and I think what I'm saying also is how many people are speaking like that though. He had a certain fierceness that I respect about it. So even if you know. You got to understand the power that at which he's talking from. If you listen to the stats he's saying, he said, I didn't put out more specials than any other comedian alive or dead. And ain't nobody said no. I mean, you look at Eddie Murphy, he put out 2 that have lit up the culture. But Cat Williams is also a very staple figure in the culture and has self-funded each one of those things. So as much as we talk about the gossip, let's elevate.
I got that CMOS, baby, call me a CMOS, baby. Do that body good like CMOS, baby. I'm a leader, I'ma take you to the treetop, baby. I care about your health, did you hydrate lately? I got that CMOS, baby, call me a CMOS, baby. Do that body good like CMOS, baby. I'm a leader, I'ma take you to the treetop, baby. I care about your health, did you hydrate lately?